Yo, what up? How's it going? And welcome back for another video. In today's video, we'll be doing a patch rundown on patch 11.24 for TFT Set 6. Now, what you see on your screen is Mortdog's video because they do not post the official patch notes until the day before the patch. So if you guys would like to hear what the devs have to say about the patch, please go watch this on Mortdog's channel. But if you want to hear it from me, I'll be trying to go through a lot of these changes pretty fast and give you guys my thoughts on them as we go through. So with that out of the way, let's get right into it. If you're not familiar with patch changes, one thing I'll say is what we're going to be seeing on our screen today is 99% locked in. Just on patch day, sometimes a couple numbers will be changed. Hardly ever do they completely take something out of the patch notes. So just know that this is like 99% accurate. So let's just get into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to get into is most heart augments now also grant a champion from their trait. So basically, if you get an assassin heart, a bodyguard heart, whatever, you will get a corresponding champion that is either 1, 2, or 3 cost. It looks like they're all 2 costs. Oh, no, wait, no, Graves is there. 1, 2, or 3 costs into your comp. You will not get the best one. And cool. So that is just to make getting a heart in the early game. You know, a lot of times you'll get offered 3 hearts, and you're just like, well, what do I do here? So now it'll be a little bit more easier to play out in the early game. So very good change. You know, there's a chance this is like broken, but we'll see. Okay, and now they have changed the tier 2 version of that. Instead of it being an emblem, it's going to be called a crest for some reason. Because the thing is called a crest, but you get an emblem and a champion. I don't know why they're adding names, but I guess to just separate crest from emblems. I don't know, whatever. But it's the same idea. It's just the tiered up version where you actually get the emblem. You'll get a corresponding unit as well. So same deal. Okay, now the soul. This is where a big change is, and this is potentially some really broken stuff going on here. So now whenever you get a soul, you will now get additional emblems with it. So instead of it just counting as like you have more academics, you will now get emblems, because a lot of times these souls, like especially like something like academic or something like that, you take it and you're just like, well, I really wish I had 2 actual academics on my team so I can help stack this trait. Or Arcanist, I wish I could make people into Arcanist, or I wish I could make people into Assassins. Why am I just getting this extra buff? So now you'll actually get the emblem. So this is a massive buff to these things. So I would really pay attention to this. There's so many implications from these that I can't even like extrapolate something from it, because there's just going to be a lot of testing on this patch on how broken some of this stuff can be, and how a lot of emblems on certain units are going to be. So very interesting to check out doing these things. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, cool. Down here, if it's something like Clockwork or Enchanters, something where you don't, it's a team-wide buff, so you wouldn't care about getting an emblem, it'll now grant you 8 gold. Really keep a close eye on this. Now, obviously in the late game, 8 gold isn't as like massive. I mean, 8 gold can matter a lot in the late game, but if you get offered this at the beginning of the game, now this is a very tantalizing opportunity. 8 gold in the early game is a lot of gold, and you also have the soul. So really keep an eye on this stuff, and really think about, if you're in a prismatic lobby, taking some of this stuff that gives you gold in the early game if it's playable for your board. Really think about it. Because 8 gold is absolutely broken in the early game. If you know how to manage an econ advantage, having 8 extra gold is so broken. That's why Windfall is so good. That's why Rich Get Richer is so good. Just having that little bit of extra gold in the early game is so impactful. And Rich Get Richer is only 2 gold more. It's 10 gold. And the biggest value out of Rich Get Richer in the early game is not the levels, or the 6 gold threshold, the 7 gold threshold. The real value is just getting that 10 gold. That is the biggest value, because it gets you to level 6 and level 7 so fast. All right, anyways. All right, cool. Challenger getting nerfed. Rejoice. Challenger is so annoying to play against. Is taking it down 10% enough to take them out of the meta? What you need to think about is this doubles whenever they get a reset. So it is actually 20% on the reset. Is this enough to take them out of the meta? Probably not. But Yone is also getting nerfed. So I'd keep an eye on this build. Challenger might be a dead build at the vertical trait. It might be a dead build, but keep an eye on this the first couple days of the patch, and that'll tell us. But I'm not really certain. Yone is getting nerfed as well, so we'll see. We'll see. Okay, cool. Clockwork getting a nice little buff. I love Clockwork as a trait. I think it's very cool. I'm very scared. I definitely think Clockwork has a tipping point to where it becomes broken. Right now, it is very nice. and it getting buffed a little bit more is also very nice. But I definitely think there's a tipping point. Just think back to, oh, my dog is running around. Just think back to Spirit in set 4. Spirit hit a tipping point where it was so turbo broken, and I'm really scared of that happening, but I love Spirit. So any Clockwork buffs we get, like, I would love a Clockwork meta. Like, if something was so stagnant in the meta, like something like really dominated the meta and it was Clockwork, I'd kind of feel good about it, because there's so much flex opportunity when playing around something like Clockwork. But so keep an eye on Clockwork. Nice little buff. I don't think this is the tipping point. It needs to be broken. But maybe at 6, maybe this is really broken. Who knows? We'll see. Keep an eye on that. Not certain. Okay, Mutant. They are upping the, this is the Adrenal one, right? This is the on-hit one. So this is a buff to Kog'Maw. This is a buff to on-hit Cho'Gath, which is a build that has started to come out since Clapio has came out. Keep an eye on that. I actually played an on-hit Cho'Gath game last night. It was not that great, but I have seen some people make it work. I went for a 5th place, I think. Cool. All right, Chemtech. Chemtech is getting reworked. We all saw this coming. Chemtech is the new Divine trait, and it's getting reworked like Divine got. So now last 8 seconds. So now you don't get any more time with the vertical. The reason why they're doing this is because in the late game, 15 seconds is like 15 seconds can matter in like Warwick comps, because you do actually fight that long when you're playing like a Warwick comp. But all the other Chemtech variations, the fight really doesn't last that long. When you get to stage 5, stage 6, most of what the actual fight is in the first 8 to 10 seconds. Unless you're playing Warwick, who actually does get value. So they're just changing where that is. If you're playing 5 Chemtech, it's completely unchanged. At 2 Chemtech, or at 3 Chemtech, I mean, it is actually a small buff because it is double the duration. And in the early game, you definitely do get value from the duration, but the attack speed is down. Be looking out for like this 7 and 9 vertical, especially in like Warwick and Urgot, or even, what's his face? Victor. Victor gets a lot from attack speed as well, just from getting the cast. So keep an eye out for the 7 and 9 vertical. And maybe in games when you were thinking about going 7 or 9, but you decided not to, give some thought to it. Try it out this patch, because it is double the attack speed. That is a lot. If you can get 9 Chemtech for free from like a Soul or something, really consider it. Okay, Innovator. So the bear is going down a little bit. Nice little nerf on the bear. I'm glad they're not nerfing the little scarab. I don't think the scarab needs to be nerfed. But dragon getting nerfed quite a bit. God bless. I mean, Innovator is just so like unplayable to play against once they hit it. Dragon should still be good, because most of the value is actually, I mean, you get a lot of value from the crit scaling, obviously, but most of the value that you actually feel whenever you're playing is really that the fear. So the fear, the dragon is still going to be really good. It's just not going to be as oppressive. So down for that. Still give Innovator a try this patch. See how it goes in the first couple days. I don't think that kills Innovator. But they did have some nerfs to Innovator later down the line, which I am excited about. Okay, Garen getting nerfed for who knows why. I know like when you actually hit that Garen comp, that Kog'Maw Garen comp, when you actually hit everything, it does actually perform maybe a little too well for 1 and 2 costs, but like that requires you really to hit everything and to be uncontested. Usually when I play this comp, I feel like it's definitely a top 4 comp, not a first place or top 2 even, or even like, I feel like you're capped at 3rd place unless everything aligns. So I don't know why they're nerfing Garen, if I'm being honest. Trundle getting nerfed. Okay, unpopular opinion. I don't think Trundle needs to be nerfed. I don't think he's that strong. What is strong? I mean, Trundle's strong. Trundle maybe is a little too strong for 2 costs. Who knows? But what makes Trundle actually strong is that he's able to play Echo, and he's able to play Lysandra in his comp. And those units are turbo broken. They are so broken. They're so broken. And honestly, I think Lysandra might be more broken next patch, but we'll get to her later. So, maybe this 50% attack speed so was a little too high. But I do like the idea that you can counter like a Yone comp by just putting him in front of him. Kind of like set 5 Trundle. But not nearly as broken as set 5 Trundle. Set 5 Trundle is so broken. Or Dragon Slayer Trundle, was that set 5? I think so. Maybe give Trundle a try next patch. Honestly, I don't think Trundle need to be nerfed. Maybe this kills him, because Echo is also getting a pretty big nerf. So yeah, keep an eye on that, but Trundle might be dead. Okay, cool. Vex. What you need to know about this is, if you didn't know, Vex's spell stacks. Every time it's broken, it gets a little stronger. Guys, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know that. I did not know that. I don't think a lot of people knew that. Yeah, so that happened. So the spell is going down and the damage is going down. So this is actually a pretty big nerf to Arcanist comps. Now, if you're playing it with Runic Shield, you probably won't feel this difference. She's still going to be like a super god tank, especially if you have Runic Shield and you're playing Arcanist, like vertical. Still be a god tank, still will be the premier tank of the Arcanist and Yordle comp. So yeah, but against like Sins, if Sins are still meta next patch, she will not like 1v9 Sins. I mean, maybe she still will with Bramble, but explicitly their goal is to make it to where Vex isn't like literally 1 versus 9 and wins the fight. So this might be a massive nerf. If Assassins are still meta, this might be a huge nerf. But if Assassins are not meta, then Vex is still going to be like really, really good. But in non-assassin heavy lobbies, I would still think Vex is still going to be a super tank in the Arcanist vertical comp. And if you have Runic, she should honestly feel unchanged, except in those use cases where she had to 1v9, she will not be able to do that as well. So keep that in mind, but I think Vex should still be strong as a tank. Okay, Katarina getting a small nerf. This is pretty small at 2-star because their goal is if you had a 2-star Katarina on stage 3, stage 4, they still wanted to be strong. I'm down with that idea. You know, if you guys are a degen cat roller, still think about playing it, guys. They're also buffing for Academy, so keep an eye out on her build. We'll talk more about her in a bit, but keep an eye on Katarina. Katarina might still be meta, so yeah, keep a close eye. Okay, Shaco is getting buffed. This mana buff is pretty nice, and they're fixing the targeting. So that's actually a buff to Shaco as well, and then the base damages go up. Keep an eye on Katarina Shaco with some Academy shenanigans going on. Keep a big eye on that because this is not a huge nerf. I mean, 50 is kind of big for an AoE spell, but keep a big eye on these guys. I know Shaco's pretty unplayable right now, but keep an open mind. And they nerfed the super tank that destroys him or destroys Sin, so keep a close eye on Sins, Shaco, and Academics because they are making some changes to Academics here as well. And they really go on this one. All right, let's get to the next one. Okay, cool. These are large changes, by the way, at least the way they say them. Okay, cool. And then there'll be some more champion changes in a minute. Okay, Fiora is getting 80 buff, 10%, spell 80%. Okay, here's the thing. Here's the problem I have with Fiora. Fiora, like clockwork, is what I just said. I think Fiora has a tipping point, and they're just going to keep tweaking these numbers until we hit it. And I think Fiora is going to be their problem child of this set of like really trying to get her into a state to where she is more like playable but not broken. So yeah, they're buffing her AD percentage. I think that's pretty cool because now she doesn't just get the leftover AP items. If you get like dual AD items, you'll actually be like, okay, well I can duo carry a Fiora with AD items with like Yone, or maybe you're playing like Jace or something. So I do like that they're adding more flexibility into her kit. Just keep an eye on Fiora. They're gonna keep touching her numbers until she's broken. So just keep a big eye on that. Maybe this is what she needs. And maybe she'll be discovered as turbo broken, but I don't know. She still feels a little bit clunky. Okay, Lux is getting a mana refund on kill is going down by 10. This probably doesn't matter that much. You know what this is a buff to is Sojin. So if you build Sojin in the early game, you actually do get a lot more value on Lux now with Sojin. And Sojin is the best AP flex item because Sojin is good on Seraphine. Sojin is good on Orianna. It's good on Victor. It's good on Malzahar. And now it's a little bit better on Lux. Right? You get a little bit of value. So, you know, even taking even more value away from Blue Buff. But Blue Buff is getting reworked. And we will check that out in a second. Blue Buff is exciting this patch. Cool. All right. Sion. I love what they're doing to Sion. They've really decided, you know, they nerfed him when he was a damage dealer and they made him like halfway a damage dealer, halfway a tank. And now they are fully like, we're balancing him as a tank. I'm into that. So his stun duration is up at 2-star. Love that. I think it's really hard to play Sion. And then they buffed him right here. So keep an eye on Sion being a premier frontliner. He is a 4-cost, guys. He's supposed to be a premier frontliner. So be looking out for some Sion Blitz frontlines. That was a very meta frontline on PvE, but has since kind of fallen off because Sion only really worked as a DPS. But now they're really bouncing him as a tank. So keep an eye on running Sion in your comp. Keep an eye on that. Okay, so Jhin, he's getting a mana buff, which is very cool because sometimes he does cast very late. One thing to note about this is that is a nerf to Rage Blade, because his first, if you want to build Rage Blade on Jhin, his first cast will come earlier, so his first cast will deal less damage. So just think about that. 5 AD nerf. Jhin is actually kind of like sleeper in the meta right now. Like people play him, but people don't recognize him as like really strong. Like you never hear him mentioned. It's like really what dominates the meta is like Yone, and some people will say Urgot. You know, that's a little bit less popular, but you know, depending on who you ask. But people don't really bring up Jhin all that much. But Jhin is actually like kind of flying under the radar, pretty strong. It's just kind of outshined because like the Yone comp is so turbo broken, Katarina is broken. So he's been kind of flying under the radar. So if you're seeing this nerf and you're like, why is he getting 580 nerf? He's really kind of flying under the radar. He's actually pretty good this patch. He's just kind of outshined by everything else that is like broken. Cool, and they nerfed him at 2-star a little bit. We'll see how this works out. Jhin should still be good next patch. And Jhin should still be good. They barely nerfed the bear, and the dragon is still good. So if you like playing Jhin, keep playing Jhin. Should still be good unless something crazy happens in the meta. Like maybe Shaco is broken, and then it's kind of harder to play snipers. Okay, Orianna. So I love this. Orianna, it's very hard for her to cast twice. And if you play carry Orianna, you know, the fights are so hit or miss. Sometimes she'll just cast on a random unit. They're taking down the stun duration to not make it as obnoxious. And so this is really a small, not a micro stun, but a small stun. It's more than a micro stun. So you still get value off the CC and the clumping effect, especially comboed with Jhin. Very nice effect. But they don't want her to just be a CC bot. So if you like playing Orianna as a carry, this is a buff to carry Orianna. And then as a utility unit, this is a buff as well. And especially with Clockwork getting buffed and stuff like that. So keep a close eye on Orianna, because she has felt like really really too expensive for what she actually did for your team, because she just provides 1 CC and a little bit of damage. But usually it's too late into the fight. So keep an eye on Orianna. Keep an eye on carry Orianna, because that is already a build that some people play. It's mainly like a for fun build. I don't know what my mouth just made. It's mainly a for fun build right now. But keep an eye on that peeking out of the meta, especially if there's an AP focus in the meta. Okay, Akali getting buffed, I do not agree. I do not agree at all. When I was watching this and they said Akali is the hardest 5 cost to play around. Dude, Akali is broken. Akali is like so broken. The reason why she's hard to play around is because you have to hit Akali, and like Akali's comp is so one-dimensional. It is so like you have to hit Akali or it's game over, right? You know, if you're playing vertical syndicates, you have to hit Akali. That's why Akali is not performing well. It's because you hit her too late. It's not because she sucks. Akali's broken. I don't know what they're smoking, man. Whatever they're on, I want to be on it. Because this is some hyperdose of copium if you think Akali is not good. I don't know. This is like one of the only things I like hard disagree with on these patch notes. I mean, there's some things I don't agree with, but man, Akali is so good. The reason why she's not good is because she's too hard to hit. And her comp is like, it doesn't function without her. Whereas like other legendary comps like Jinx, you know, you can just play Urgot instead, but like Akali, you have to play Shaco instead, and he blows. Or you have to play a 2-star Akali, or 2-star, Katarina, if you want to play like blue buff or something like that. And you're really just item holding. Anyways, all right, Jace, frontline getting nerfed. That's fine. You know, people almost only play him as frontline. He has good backline though. In the right circumstances. They're buffing his backline DPS, so if you want to run him in like a Jhin comp, so this is a buff to Jhin comp because you do actually run him in a backline in Jhin comp, and you can side carry him, very nice. If you want to run a duo carry AD comp with Fiora, like I just talked about, maybe with Innovators, maybe very cool. Maybe now you'll start to consider Jace as a carry option. Jace is already good as a carry option, just the problem is it's way easier to play Jhin than it is to play Jace. You know, you don't know if you're going to hit a Jhin. You don't know if you're going to hit a Jace, but if you have a lot of gold to roll on level 8, you know you can hit a Jhin, so you just by default put the items on your Jhin and then frontline your Jace. Or you know, if you need him as your tank, or you backline him. And I'm talking about an Innovator comp. Sorry if I was confusing when I said you backline Jace with Jhin, but so now maybe it'll give you a little bit of pause. Maybe think about carrying your Jace. I've carried Jace several games. He actually does feel very good. It's just, as I said, it's easier to play other AD champs because you know you're going to hit them. But you know, keep an eye on backline Jace, and keep an eye on Jhin comps with backline Jace as like a side carry. Could be very, very, very strong. Cool. All right, Victor is getting nerfed. Wait, why does it say HP? That means they mean mana, right? Cool. Yeah, there's that means mana. So we'll cast a little bit later and deal less damage. I don't like that he casts later. I'm being honest. I don't like that. I just don't like that. He already feels like, so like if he casts you in, if he doesn't, he loses. Maybe a damage nerf is needed because 1-star Victor does like, depending on your items and your setup, like 1-star Victor is like so much better than 2-star Lux. Depending on the setup, not always, but so I'm down with the damage nerf, but I am not down with a mana nerf. Yeah, he already feels so like he's either useless or he blows up the board, and I don't like that. I don't like that variance. All right, they're nerfing Clapio. They're making him, bouncing him more as a tank and more of an AP. 30 AD is a lot, but you know, if you really like playing Clapio and you think that comp is fun, you can probably keep playing it. But Galio just getting buffed as a tank and an AP user. This is basically a power neutral change if you're just playing him as a front. If you're just playing him as a frontliner, actually, this is a buff, pretty big buff. But if you're wanting to play Clapio, it's a nerf. So like overall, the unit maybe power neutral change. But I think it's pretty big buff to frontline Galio. But obviously a nerf to Clapio. But maybe give Clapio a try if you just really like playing it. Should still be good, 30 AD nerf. But I wouldn't like plan to play Clapio anymore. Okay, cool. Jinx is getting a small nerf in the attack speed department. Cool. And a small nerf in the percent AD. Okay, you want to build one-shot Jinx, completely unchanged. And if you want to play AD carry Jinx, a little bit nerfed, but she's still going to be good. She's very strong. I've been playing a lot of Jinx this patch. I've just been like for-funning scraps. Like forcing scraps and Jinx's late game carry. Feels very strong. Oh, I'm excited to try some more scraps next patch. Honestly, guys, this last patch has been so sleeper. I ran down all my LP to 0, and I'm just like having no fun. I mean, I'm basically just taking a break from playing right now. And hopefully this 4-week patch will be a little bit better, but we'll see. Oh, I don't know why I pressed play. Okay, blue buff. So blue buff, big change. 30 mana to 50 starting mana. Very, very, very cool. Because here's the problem with blue buff right now. And so that's why when I saw Lux getting changed, I was like, well, this is an even bigger buff to Sojin. And Sojin is already way better in blue buff. Here's the problem with blue buff. There's not very good blue buff. Not very good. Not very many blue buff users. Think about in the late game. It's Lux, Akali. Who else? There is no one else. It's them. It's just them. I mean, Tom Kench can use it as well, but like you don't plan to play that on Tom Kench when you build a blue buff early game. Like that's it. Those are the only like late game carries you actually plan to play where you build blue buff in an early game. Now, all of the AP units can use Sojin. But this actually, the starting base mana is actually really huge. So like if you build a blue buff in the early game, it doesn't mean you can't play Victor anymore. You know, it didn't before, but now even more so. You could slam a blue buff on Victor to get that first cast off if you just need him to blow up the board. So guys, blue buff, try it out next batch. Sojin is still going to be better, but blue buff is not completely turbo useless and locks you into a board. Frozen Heart getting buffed. I don't know why. I guess because there's no Diana in this meta, so it doesn't, or Diana in this game, in this set, so it doesn't feel as broken. But I really like this item already. I think it's pretty underrated. Especially this is a pretty good buff to Sin comp. So yeah, try it out. I don't know why I press play, but I'm down with the Frozen Heart buff. Big nerf to Jhin, actually. And nerf the challengers. So I'm cool with that because, you know, I hate challengers. And then, well, I hate Sin's getting buffed, but I do like that item. I like flexing that item. Okay, Duet. Now in addition to granting a second spotlight, gives a bonus 500 HP to spotlighted champions. Very cool. This trade is very hard to work. I think, I don't know if this needed to be buffed because in their data, it probably really underperformed. That's because if you guys didn't know, most of this patch, you could get Duet for free without taking the augment. All you had to do was figure out where the hex was and you just had to put a unit there. So this was a dead augment if you took it. And basically, if you took it, you just revealed to the whole lobby how to also use this augment for free. So I don't know if this needed to be buffed, but you know, whatever, we'll see. All right, Innovator Soul can now only appear as third choice because this was the most broken bullshit in the game if you get it early game or if you get it mid game. So broken, very good nerf. Can no longer be offered as first choice. This was the most broken augment in the game along with Innovator Soul. If you took this, you could realistically have a Tibbers on stage 2. I've had this several times. It's not even uncommon. It's so broken. Item grab bag no longer grants reforgers. Probably warranted because item grab bag is already so strong. So at both tiers they don't get reforgers. I'm down with that. You're starting up two components if you get at the beginning of the game, which is like so strong on its own. You don't need to reforge. So very cool. All right, cool. Spellblade. You know, because think about it. If you get like a Zephyr is probably like the worst item you can get, right? And that is, just think about it. It's basically like you took Enforcer, which is fine. Cool. All right, Spellblade. So they reworked this. What it was before, it was on hit, and now it's kind of like a Spellblade, actually like a Spellblade. So after you cast, after an Arcanist cast, they will deal 200% of their AP as an auto attack. So maybe consider taking this because this was so useless. Before, it was not strong at all. You could not feel it. So think about taking this. It reminds me of Lux from last set, wherever she would cast and her next auto would deal a ton of damage. So maybe that'll be all of the Arcanist units. You're playing like 6 and 8 Arcanist. Consider taking this. If you're not playing vertical Arcanist, do not take this. Do not take this at 2, or maybe even 4. But consider it at 6 and 8. Okay, March of Progress can now only be offered as first choice. It is now a tier 3, and you get 5 XP per round. Guys, if you get this early game, this is the most... I don't know why they're buffing it. If you get this early game, it is so broken. I thought it was kind of fine where it was at tier 2, but maybe it needed to go tier 3 and get a little bit XP, but this is so broken early game. I dislike that this is not able to be offered as second choice anymore. I know it's like most of the time not optimal to take, and they're just trying to save you from a bad choice, but there are some certain scenarios where maybe you invest a lot of gold right before your second augment, like to try to spike, and then hitting this actually helps you recoup your econ. And like you're going for a slow roll, like 3-cost board or something like that. This can help enable you for slow rolling whenever you spent too much gold to try to spike. This can actually enable slow roll as second augment. So I dislike that it can only be offered as first choice. And honestly, I dislike this change overall. It's already broken. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like the change. I like that there's an option to take it second choice, but I guess the scenarios where you take it as second option or second augment is so niche that they just want it out of the game. I can understand with that. Okay, Windfall getting nerfed right here because Windfall was so broken. Actually, taking it early game, having an extra 2 econ threshold early game is turbo broken. But it is a prismatic. I would consider not taking this as first augment now, but it is still going to be very good. The reason why I'd consider not taking this is because if you take Soul, if you take one of those like souls, like or not Innovator Soul, like Enchanter Soul or something, or Scholar Soul or Clockwork Soul, you get 8 gold and you get the soul. So this might, I mean, this is still going to be good when you get it offered, but if you're offered it with like Clockworks, I would almost always take Clockwork. 8 gold, only 7 less gold, but you get in the late game 35% more attack speed. You know, we take those. Even more so because you get it from augment. So, but it buffed as third augment. So that's cool. I do like that. We'll see how they go. We'll see how this works out. But I think like Clockwork Soul is gonna be like broken, turbo broken. Clockwork and like Scholar Soul, that shit is gonna be so broken next patch. Okay, cool. All right. So Academy is getting buffed at 4. Right? Is that what we're seeing? 4, and then the base per cast. Oh, this is the base, and then the per cast goes up on 6 and 8. Guys, keep an eye on 4 Academy Katarina. I'm just telling you right now, with like Souls, with Shaco, just keep an eye on it. I'm not saying that's going to be meta, but keep an eye on Academy Vertical. This going up again, it's not what it was before, but keep an eye on Academy Vertical. They nerfed Katarina's base stats, and so adding base stats onto Academy could enable her in those scenarios where you get Soul. So keep a close eye on Academy Vertical. Not saying it's going to be meta, but just keep an eye on that. Especially if you have Souls, you're able to reroll like a Shaco with a Katarina. Just think about it. Just think about it. There might be a door open there. Okay, Bruiser getting buffed at 6. Cool. Yeah, they said they over nerfed this. Yeah, definitely 6 Bruiser. Never, hardly ever felt worth for me unless I had a TK and I had like a Bruiser Soul or something, and some emblems. So I do like that. That's fine. Cool. All right, Arcanist are getting nerfed at, what is this? Oh, this is at 4, the amount of AP. Okay, so at 4, the amount of AP the Arcanist gets is down by 5. You probably won't notice that. But the team-wide and Arcanist total AP is getting buffed at 8 because this is basically a dead trait at 8. Because if you're running 8 Arcanists, you're already running 8 Arcanists, and you're probably level 8. So, you know, what's the point? Because you barely gain any AP. you only gain 25. But now you gain 45. So especially if you have souls, consider going to 8 vertical. But probably 6 vertical is still going to be your best bet with Arcanus. Unless you're high rolling like souls and stuff like that. If you have a runic shield. Now you can actually consider going for 8 because before 8 was just a bait. So consider it. I'm not saying it's going to be strong. Okay, 50% to 75% non-tyrant bonus damage is going up. This definitely needs to be changed. And they're nerfing Samira, I think, as compensation. Yeah, I've played some 5 Imperials. I've played a lot of Imperials this patch. Basically how I ran down my LP because I was forcing blue buff Imperials for fun. Yeah, and I definitely felt the games where I got 5 Imperials, I did not really feel it. Even if I had like 3 stars on Swain and Talon, I did not really feel it as much. So I'm down with this, but they said they might have to rework Imperial altogether to try to get it to work because 5 Imperial does not feel that good. And they buff Scion. So if you guys like playing Imperials, maybe give 5 Imperial a try this patch when you have the setup for it. Try it out. Okay, Twin Shot getting buffed at 4 and 6. Guys, play Urgot. Play Urgot. Urgot's getting buffed and he was already good. Play Urgot. I don't know what. Guys, play Urgot. I mean, I'm down with this buff here, but guys, Urgot is already strong, and 4 Twin Shot already feels strong whenever you like run it, like when you have a Twin Shot augment. It already feels strong, so I don't know what they're on, but you know, whatever. Syndicate getting buffed, just because Syndicate has been hard to run. Dude, they are so okay. I am usually like really down with like what their changes they have to make, but I think they're really delusional about Syndicate. There's nothing wrong with Syndicate. It's just Syndicate is hard to play because it's a 7 unit vertical and the units don't do anything together, except for the 2 sins, and Akali is really hard to hit. But they're buffing this and they're compensating. Okay, never mind. I freaked out for no reason. Okay, guys, 7 Syndicate is broken. So this is stronger in the early game. I like Syndicate actually in early in mid game. So guys, give Syndicate a try. And they're buffed blue buff. So if you're running like TF with blue buff in the early game, that's going to be pretty strong because they are nerfing Darius's compensation. All right. Sorry, I had a little mini freak out. Forgot they're nerfing Darius. So that makes sense. Okay. All right. Camille getting a 10 mana nerf. Camille is very strong. Very, very strong for a 1 cost. So I'm down with her getting nerfed. I do like playing her, but a little too strong for a 1 cost. Okay, Kassadin, Mana Reeve, 50% at all levels. Very cool. And they nerfed 65% down to 50% on tier 3 because they are trying to nerf this Protector reroll comp for no reason. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they're nerfing. But I am down for 50% here. Very cool. Okay, Darius is getting nerfed. Probably warranted because Darius is really a god tank. The healing going down is really good. Because he is a little bit too tanky for 1 cost. Him and Camille are a little bit, like a lot better as frontliners than all the other 1 cost frontliners. So I'm kind of down with this. And as a compensation, they did buff his armor and MR on Syndicate because he's the one who primarily benefits from Syndicate in the early game because he's the one taking damage. Yeah. So small nerf to like that life leech Darius that you can play in the early game, but as just a general frontliner, should feel only slightly nerfed because they did buff Syndicate. If you're running Syndicates. Okay, Blitzcrank nerfed at 3-star. Very cool because even without Sin buff, whenever you run Sin Blitzcrank, he's very frustrating. Sometimes people build him in Trundle build. Sometimes people, I play a scrap build where I build him and sometimes I 3-star him. He's very annoying in that build and he's very annoying in Sin. So I'm down for a nerf at 3-star. Very cool. Okay, the delay between Zyra's cast and her stun has been slightly reduced. Guys, keep an eye on Zyra Scholar Carry. Just keep an eye on it. I don't know how much this has changed actually, but Zyra was low-key playable last patch, this past patch. But the problem was she's very bad into a lot of the matchups, i.e. challengers and assassins, because they move too much. Keep an eye on her next patch. If challengers aren't meta and assassins aren't meta, keep a really close eye on Zyra because honestly, Lysandra might be stronger next patch, and then Heimer is getting nerfed, so that opens the door for Zyra to be the premier carry of Scholars. Also easy to roll for, 2 cost, level 6. Level 6 odds are way too strong. Cool. Kog'Maw is getting buffed at 1 and 2-star. I do like the 2-star and the 1-star buff a lot because sometimes Kog'Maw does feel a little bit not as strong as he should feel as an item holder. So I do like that, the spell damage. So also a buff to the AP Kog'Maw build, and then a 1% down at 3-star. Guys, if you hit a 3-star Kog'Maw, he should still feel very strong. This should not deter you from playing Kog'Maw if you like playing Kog'Maw. Honestly, I think this makes playing Kog'Maw a little bit easier because usually you don't hit Kog'Maw till stage 4, stage 5, Kog'Maw 3-star. So when you're playing slow roll. So honestly, if you like playing him, keep playing him. Cho'Gath getting buffed. Don't know why Cho'Gath's getting buffed. Honestly, he feels kind of strong in the scenarios in which Mutant is strong in the lobby. And if you want to play Kog'Maw, I guess because just people haven't played him as much. But guys, if you guys want to try out the AD Cho'Gath build, they did buff the adrenal glands, which does buff Cho'Gath, does buff the on-hit version of mutants. And then they also gave him some extra HP. Something to know about Cho'Gath HP is that this does buff on his scaling on his thing. On his ultimate, because it does scale off of his HP, maximum HP. So keep an eye on Cho'Gath being meta next patch. Keep an eye on AD Cho'Gath. Try it out. I don't think it's super strong, but try it out. Maybe it will be meta next patch. Okay, cool. This little bugger going down 5 AP and 10 AP here. Cool. Pretty good buff, or pretty good nerf. I mean, I don't know if Heimerdinger is broken. He really started to come out of the woodwork at the end of the patch. It's basically, he has the same symptom that Trundle has, is he's strong because of the units you play around him. Because Scholar is just such a strong trait, and then Lysandra is turbo broken, so it enables Heimerdinger to carry. So I don't know if he actually needs to be nerfed. But, you know, as I said, if Sins and Challengers aren't meta next patch, keep an eye out. Keep a really close eye on Zyra as the carry for Scholar. So Scholar should still be meta next patch, guys. Maybe not as good if Challengers aren't as good, but keep an eye out. Okay, cool. All right. Oh, wait, but if Challengers aren't as good, then that makes Zyra better, and Zyra is good against the backline carries. So, yeah, just keep an eye out for that Scholar build. Okay, Echo is getting nerfed. Very warranted. Echo is broken. Cool. Echo should still be good. His spell is like way too OP. Way too good of a Morello guy, but he has a 3 cost, so I think he's appropriately strong for 3 costs, but he was broken last patch. Okay, Lysandra getting a damage nerf, 50 and 75. You know, you might be looking at this and you're like, well, why are you talking about Lysandra being broken? Because this is not why Lysandra is broken. Lysandra is broken because the AD nerf. Now, if you really rely on her as your DPS, this is going to get down a little bit. This is taking her down a little bit. And then also, if you are playing Spell Crit, this is taking her down a little bit. But if you're playing Archangel, if you're playing the standard build, which is GA, Morello, Archangel, she should still feel about the same, slightly nerfed. But she is getting bug fixed, which is probably a bigger buff than this is a nerf. So we'll talk about her bug fix at the end. So Lysandra is still going to be broken next patch. But if Challengers aren't as good, and if Sins aren't as good, then that actually is a small nerf to her. But she is still just such an insane unit. So, and she's also good against Urgot if he wants to walk up. So, cool. Taric getting nerfed at 1 and 2 star. God bless. Taric is so broken at 1 and 2 star in the early game. Cool. Very warranted nerf. Still very good unit. Very good tags. Still keep playing Taric if you like playing Taric. Samira getting nerfed by 5 AD. I think this is compensation because they're scared that maybe 5 Imperial might be strong. They're really like touching these numbers and trying to be careful. I don't think she needed to be nerfed. I've played a lot of Samira this patch, and she does not feel overwhelming. She feels probably like appropriately strong. It's just I mean, you guys know what the meta is. There's things that are way too broken in the meta that just outshine her. I think she's appropriately strong and don't need a nerf. Urgot getting buffed for no reason. Urgot, they buffed Twin Shot, they buffed Chemtech, and they're buffing Urgot directly. I don't understand. I do not understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. I think this is just a symptom of things like Yone, Challenger, and Katarina, and innovators that like they've like, guys, I think there's a lot of good stuff in this patch, but I think there's some stuff that the devs are just really delusional about. Urgot is not bad. I used to be delusional and think Urgot was bad. Urgot is a beast. It's just like Challenger Yone is so broken, and Katarina is obviously like just in everyone's psyche. But Urgot is good, guys. Guys, play Urgot. He's going to be the thumbnail. Because Urgot, I think, is going to be coming out next patch, being very strong. Be as strong as he was at the end of not the patch we're on, but the previous one, where he was kind of dominating the meta at the end. Guys, I'm going to be playing some Urgot. I don't know about you guys. All right, Ionic Spark getting taken down a little bit. Item's pretty broken. I don't know if it needs to be nerfed again, but, you know, we'll see. Item's very strong, so should still be fine. Okay, they're buffing all of the Ornn items, except for they are nerfing Gold Collector, because if you get Gold Collector at the beginning of the game, it is the most broken bullshit you've ever had in your entire life. This thing is so broken. Mana Zane getting buffed. Love the Mana Zane buff. Death's Defiance getting buffed. Should actually be a pretty strong item now. Zonia's getting buffed. Very good on Liss. And on maybe some of the Colossus can be pretty good. And if you want like frontline and Orianna, so she casts right at the beginning of the fight, that could be very cool. So I do like that they're buffing this. And then Rocket Propelled Fist. Basically, all you need to know about this, are reworking it. If you have a Blitzcrank and a Rocket Propelled Fist, they will always attack a different target, similar to how they changed Enforcer. It'll no longer double Blitz hook. I mean, if you're running 2 Blitz, it'll still double Blitz. Okay, Augment change. Broken Stopwatch is going from a tier 3 to tier 2. Okay, I don't know about this change because Broken Stopwatch is low-key broken. If you're playing a gen comp, it is low-key broken. So just keep an eye on this if you like playing Jhin and you like playing Orianna-based comps. This is pretty strong and you can get it a lot more often. I do like it because I think this is exciting when it happens, but really keep an eye on this. This might end up being broken. And since it's going to be a tier 2, people can get it more often. So it might like really start to become mainstream. Because right now it is low-key broken. Okay, featherweights are down a little bit. Featherweights is a little broken on, especially when you're playing like Trundle, playing Warwick, stuff like that. So I'm down with this getting nerfed a little bit because in the use cases where it is strong, it is like way too strong. So I'm down for it being nerfed a little bit. And Kog'Maw, stuff like that. Okay, Cram Session. Yeah, this is really hard to take, but they're buffing it to 90%. Very good on Yuumi, very good on Leona, very good on Lux if you're not able to itemize her, right? If you're playing Academy Vertical. So guys, again, keep an eye on Academy Vertical. It might be coming back. We'll see, because they nerfed Yone's base AD again. And then they buffed the stats to give him more base AD. So think about it. And also they nerfed the base stats on Katarina, but then buffed the stats on Academy. So keep an eye on it. Okay, 2% gold per gold. Damage still capped at 60%. So if I'm doing math right, if you have 30 gold, you're capped. That's awesome. Cool. If you like playing Mercs, pretty good buff to that. Might make Mercs like really strong if you're playing, but because right now if you're playing Mercs, it kind of feels like a dead augment if you take that. I mean, it's fine, but it's kind of hard to make work because a lot of times you're pivoting out of Mercs. So, anyways, Knife's Edge, 5, 5, and 5. Cool. Warranted. Knife's Edge very strong, but only down by 5, so it's still good. Playing Augments will now appear slightly more often. Ascension. Oh, very cool. I like Ascension. Cybernetics. Knife's Edge will appear more often. Makeshift Armor, Underdogs. I feel like I get these really often. But I do like Ascension and Underdogs being there more often because those are more comp specific. Like, for example, if you're playing Warwick reroll, Ascension is very good. If you're playing Colossus, Underdogs is very good. So I do like that these are appearing more often because they do have more niche use cases. And I love when things are like, they're not like super niche though. I love when they're a little bit less common scenarios and you can get, I don't know. I like it. You get me. Stand United getting buffed. I'm down with this because this feels like something you can take anytime, except for when you're playing a vertical synergy comp. But it never feels good. So I'd like it to feel better. So very cool. Very excited about that. Can you tell how excited I am about that? Okay, anyways. Other changes, Hyperroll. Cho'Gath now gains twice as many fee stacks. Oh, and Hyperroll, okay. Double up social scouting has now been enabled for double. Oh, where your little guys get to go there? Oh, very cool. Because I hated that. Okay, bug fixes. Now, if you see this screen and you're about to click off, do not click off. This is very important. Bug fixes are extremely important if you guys aren't familiar with TFT patch notes. Can make or break the game sometimes. Okay, units can no longer instantaneously be moved to the bench, back to the battlefield. Okay, so guys, what you need to know is if you were doing that hotkey, if you're really in tune and you've really been playing TFT for a while, you know about this. You can set up your hotkeys to where you can take units off of your board and then you press the other hotkey and then it goes back on your board on the opposite side as long as you have bench space for them. And it's where it enables you to do a transition in like 0.5 of a second. So basically it makes scouting useless if someone knows how to do this because they're just going to either do this or not do this, right? So basically it puts all of the advantage into the person doing the skill. And also it's very niche. You have to change your hotkeys. So it's kind of one of those things that like if you know, then you know and you can do it. It only like matters a small percentage of the time. So I'm down for it to just be out of the game. I'm down with it. A lot of people are not happy about that. They're like, this adds skill to the game. I think it detracts skill from the game and is niche and is like a knowledge barrier that doesn't need to be in the game. TFT is like, I think TFT is best when it's a strategy-based game, not like what you do in 0.5 seconds. I think it's very cool when there's stuff that you can do, like moving your blitz last second and stuff like that. But like something where you actually have to change your hotkeys and you can move every single unit on your board as long as provided you have bench space for them. I think it's kind of bullshit, and I'm happy it's out of the game. All right, cool. Calculated loss will no longer give a free reroll on 2-1 as you take your first augment. I actually noticed this the other day. You were just getting a random free reroll at 2-1. You won't get that anymore. Okay, fix an issue. I noticed this yesterday. I was like, what the hell? Did I lose? I thought I lost PvE for a second. All right, anyways, fix an issue where mana reduction, mutant spat sometimes not work. So yeah, if you're using the mana reduction one, it'll always work now. Fix an issue where 7 mercenary soldier payout not working. Yeah, so sometimes you get, I think it's a 2/5 cost would go into your pool, and it would just not come out of your chest if you cashed out. It just wouldn't happen sometimes. Fix an issue where there was a secret social hex. So yeah, this was already fixed. This is already fixed. Like I talked about earlier. Fix an issue where 2 talons were refreshing each other's bleed stacks. So yeah, they were refreshing the bleed stacks instead of double applying them. So it should now work like Vayne. If you guys played Vayne in previous sets, if you ran 2 Vaynes, it was actually pretty strong because they could pop each other's stacks. So now if you run 2 talons and they're both hitting the same target, it'll be like hit, hit, hit. That'll be 3 hits. That'll count as 3 hits. What it was doing right now was you attack, the other one attacks, and now the stacks are refreshed to 0. So it's actually useless running 2 talons on the same side. So now it'll actually be something you can run. If you have random 2 talons and you have nothing to run, you can run 2 talons. Very cool. Fix situation where certain champions' visual effects would continue to show during victory sequence even after the champion was hidden. Okay, cool. Means nothing. Blitzrank's allies will no longer attempt to target his rocket grab target if they are immune to crowd control and did not get hooked. Oh, so they would start walking across the map if there was a CC, if they had QSS. I did not even notice that. I guess because not a lot of people would QSS on their backliner. So, anyways, fix Kaisa failing to fire missiles. So sometimes if Kaisa got CC'd at the right moment, whenever she dashed, she wouldn't fire her missiles anymore, and she's a fucking legendary. So this is actually a really big buff to her. And also, she'd now be able to do it in Guardian Angel. So if she went into GA and she cast, a lot of times Kaisa jumps into like death. So you feel like GA should be a pretty good item on her, you know, in this scenario, so that makes sense. But she doesn't fire off her missiles, so now she will. Pretty big buff, actually. Okay, because Kaisa is a little bit inconsistent for like a unit that she should not feel inconsistent. Okay, Enforcer 4 now properly stuns the unit with the highest DPS. Yeah, Enforcer 4 was just really bugged out, so it should properly stun the right target. Cool. Clear Mind Augment now no longer considers Toma traits a unit. Very cool. Very niche. Zillion's tooltip now properly shows 25% attack speed. At once already was showing 20%. Not a change to the unit. It's just a change to the tooltip. Underdogs now correctly ticks every second instead of ticking every other second for twice the heal amount. So this is just a clarity issue. It should work exactly the same. Lysandra ult no longer fizzles. Her ult doesn't fizzle. If you guys were not aware, if her target died while she was doing it, or her target went into GA, she would no longer find a new target. She would just her mana would just go to 0 and nothing would happen. So Lysandra now correctly retargets. So Lysandra got buffed this patch. She got buffed. Let me be very clear. She is buffed. Lysandra got buffed. Just think about just think about that. She got buffed. But if challengers aren't as meta, that doesn't make her as strong, but she is good in Urgot because he is a little short range, so Lysandra got buffed. Anyways, Ezreal no longer fails to gain mana on his first attack after casting an ability. I did notice that. Cool, so that's just a little small bug change. Champions will no longer randomly swap after casting their spells. So like this should fix the targeting bug, right? If you guys don't know the targeting bug, you know, especially if you're running Sins, your Sin jumps to the backline. What's supposed to happen is your frontliner sticks, or your backliner, the backliner you're jumping, stays on the one frontliner the entire time until that frontliner is dead. So if you actually position a super tank in front of somebody, they don't change targets. But what happens right now is they're hitting the frontliner and then they'll switch to someone else. They'll switch to their next closest target randomly. It says after spellcast. I didn't actually notice when it happened. I just knew it happened literally every single fight. And you just don't position correctly anymore. So if this fixes that entirely, then God bless. I hope so. I think that's what they implied when I was listening to this. Okay, Rock Propelled Fist from Portable Forge will now fire its hook even if the holder is stunned. Oh, okay, cool. It didn't if they were stunned? That's wild. Okay, Malzahar no longer fails to gain mana on his first attack. So this is a big buff to Malzahar because he was taking an additional auto to cast again. Very nice. Double up to victory sequence will no longer go to an empty board. It just clarity issue there. Okay, cool. All right, that is it for the patch note, guys. Let me give you guys some things that I'm looking out for. Urgot. Play Urgot. Play Urgot. I'm just saying it now, play Urgot. Keep an eye on Katarina and Academy Vertical. I don't know if that'll be strong, but her nerf was not that big, and they buffed the places where they took damage off of Katarina, they added it into Academics. And also, they took damage off Yone, but they added it back into Academics. So keep an eye on Academics. I don't know if it's going to be strong. Keep an eye on Kog'Maw as an item holder. Keep an eye on Mutants. Keep an eye on Cho'Gath. Keep an eye on Scion being a reliable frontliner. Not being broken, but being a reliable frontliner. You can actually look to play Scion plus Blitz. That was a meta frontline on PvE, but has not been meta the whole set. What's another thing to keep an eye on? Keep an eye on the souls. All the soul augments, especially the ones that are board wide, like Clockwork, stuff like that. Keep an eye on that because 8 gold in the early game is a lot of money. So keep a big eye on that. Keep an eye on Orianna as a viable carry because she can now cast a lot more often. Keep an eye on just her as a viable unit. I'm probably missing a lot of stuff, but yeah, those are the things I'm really thinking about. Urgot is my biggest thing. Oh, and Lysandra, I think she's still going to be broken next patch, maybe even more so. Also keep an eye on Scholars as well. They might just be exactly the same comp, still broken. Echo is still going to be really good. I mean, they did nerf him a lot, so going to be really good. Maybe drop Trundle from your pool. Maybe drop the Challenger comp from your pool. But basically, if I was going into the next patch and you were trying to like win your games, then I would, at the beginning of the next patch, I'd play a lot of the stuff I was playing last patch. Unless you're like a degen playing Challengers and only playing Katarina. But if you're playing any of the other comps, I would still consider playing it. And I would add Urgot to your pool if you were not playing Urgot before, because he is already good on the current patch. And he is going to be very good next patch. So anyways, all right, guys, that was it for the video. I appreciate all of you who watched this whole thing. It's a 15-minute video. If you guys want more of me, I do stream at twitch.tv/TFT. I've been kind of taking, I mean, I say I stream 5 days a week, but I've been kind of streaming a lot less. Honestly, I just haven't really been enjoying TFT lately. And I've just been, you know, just kind of doing other stuff and making videos like this instead. I just really haven't been enjoying the game. I've just been for funning. I'm just like sitting at Masters or LP, just playing some fun comps, and we'll really turn it on when we get to the 0.5 set. But yeah, this last patch was just so boring to me. I was out of town a bunch, and then I came back, and I'm gonna be out of town a bunch this next patch. So I don't know. We'll see. But I would love for you to follow me there. The streams are really fun and awesome. It's just I've not really been enjoying playing TFT lately. Cool. I post a lot at tiktok.com/@TrajanTFT. And also I post pretty much every day on Twitter. And you guys can follow me there. I'll leave a link in the comment. Yeah, you get it. Anyways, all right. I appreciate all of you guys. If you want to like and comment on the video, that would help me out a lot. And I do read every comment and usually give a thoughtful reply if you leave a thoughtful comment or if you leave something positive. But if you leave something negative or just like, or, you know, want to argue or something, I don't ever comment. So yeah, just know that. Anyways, appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good night, a good day, and wherever you are, I just hope you're doing well. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. See ya.